These two women were walking through a beautiful park. On the way, however, they come across a sad scene, a man, apparently a beggar, lying on the ground. The man was so thirsty that he tried to drink the water from the ground. The women try to stop him from doing that. After all, he was at risk of catching some disease. One of the women offers the poor man a bottle of water. The woman, however, shows a nasty side and throws the water in the man's face. The friend is shocked and asks her why she did this to someone so helpless and in need. The woman is cruel and replies, laughing, that the man wanted water and that's what she did. But the friend is angry and throws the water in the face of the evil woman. She asks if this is really fun, and the woman, who until now has been laughing at the poor man, is outraged. The other woman is kind and makes the man's mouth water, as he doesn't have the strength to get up. With pity for the man, she says that he needs to get up, and the man, now less thirsty, tries to stand up, but he can only do so with the help of that kind woman. She once again asks how her friend had the courage to do that to the man, and she replies that it was just a joke, but the friend replies that it was not fun at all. The woman then decides to continue helping the man, and the two leave the park. The next day, dressed in her work clothes, that kind woman was polishing a table. Well dressed, the cruel woman asks if her friend forgives her for what happened yesterday. She takes a deep breath and says that her friend needs to change a lot, because what she did yesterday was very cruel, and that is not funny at all. The woman doesn't seem to mind and repeats that it was just an innocent joke. The friend is outraged and says that this is no joke, and that the man was already in a very humiliating situation. And impatiently, the woman asks again if her friend will excuse her, showing her cruel side once again. The woman says that at night that restaurant will be visited by rich men, and says that they will look at her, and not at her friend, who is just a waitress who cleans the counter. The kind woman replies that she doesn't care, as she is there to work, not to be chasing after rich men. Cynical and inconvenient, she says that her friend will spend her whole life cleaning tables, while she will marry a rich man and have a happy life. And before the woman leaves, she replies that her work is worthy. And, when the friend leaves, she talks to herself and says she'd rather start at the bottom, in a dignified way, than be like her friend is. Hours later, a man arrives at the restaurant and says there is a reservation in his name. She checks the list of reserved tables and sees that his name is there and says she will take him to the correct place. They make it to the reserved table and he thanks the arrogant clerk. She asks if the man would like to make the request right now, but he, to the surprise of that arrogant woman, says he prefers to be answered by his humble friend. Attentive, she asks what he would like to order, and he asks what is the most expensive dish in the restaurant. She says they make the tenderest lobster in town, and he is interested, later asking about drink options. She replies that they have a smooth white wine and states that he will love it. The rich man looks pleased and says he will try the wine and the lobster. She takes the order, asks if he would like to order something more, and after he says that for now it is enough, she leaves and he, perhaps interested in her, thanks her for the kind service. In the restaurant kitchen while getting a water for the man, the arrogant friend grabs the woman by the arm, and says that she already noticed what she is doing, insinuating that she is trying to seduce that rich man. She denies it and says she's just working. But the woman laughs at her and says that her friend is a cynic, and that she wants to steal that rich man from her. But she is a woman with personality, and she repeats that she doesn't need any man to grow in life. Jealous and insecure, the woman tries to humiliate the waitress, and says she should take the lipstick off her mouth as it is inappropriate, and says she looks like a clown. Alone, she wonders why her friend is so mean to people, while removing her lipstick with a paper towel. At the table, the rich man takes his cell phone out of his pocket and seems to drop something on the floor. The arrogant woman goes to him to ask if everything is okay. He responds positively and reveals that he is delighted by the waitress. She is clearly annoyed and asks if he would like to watch something on television, but he says he prefers to stay on his cell phone. Angrily, the woman leaves and says she will call the waitress to serve the rich man. Trying to hide it, she seems to pick up the object dropped by the man on the floor, but doesn't realize that the man saw everything through the cell phone camera. Minutes later, the waitress goes to the table and hands the man the white wine. Embarrassed, she asks if it wouldn't be awkward for her to talk to him for a few seconds. And he, clearly interested in her, says that she can sit down and reveals that he would also like to talk to her. The woman is embarrassed and starts to speak, but she is nervous and he asks her once more to sit down. And she says she doesn't have that permission. The man finds this strange and asks if she has been working at the restaurant for a while, but she replies that no, but that she is still not allowed to sit with the customers. Despite his insistence, she just wants to tell him that her friend accidentally took his box from the floor, but he reveals that he saw everything, and that he actually recorded everything, and that it was no accident. The waitress is confused, and before asking one more question, the man interrupts her and asks that the owner of the restaurant is his friend, and she is surprised but happy to know that. And he then reaches out to her and says that he owns the restaurant. She freezes for a few seconds and asks if it's true. She gets even more nervous and says that she didn't touch the box and that the object is unscratched. But he surprises her once more and reveals that that little box is for her. She doesn't know what to say, because until today she had never seen him, but she is very grateful for the unexpected gift. But the man assures her that he will surprise her once more and says that now she will remember him. He opens his briefcase and then takes out a wig with curly hair. He asks if she remembers that hair and then puts on the wig. She is shocked to realize that her boss, a very rich man, was that beggar she helped the day before. He reveals that he does this as a form of social testing, and she has shown to be a good person, able to empathize with people she doesn't even know. She thanks him for the recognition and says her parents taught her never to mistreat anyone. The restaurant owner says that her kindness touched his heart and that he would like to think of some way to thank her. Humbly, she replies that she doesn't need to and that she has done nothing but right. And he recalls that her friend, on the other hand, never had compassion for someone who was just wanting to drink water. And he asks if the waitress remembers a phrase she said to him while he was disguised as a beggar. He tries to make her remember. The moment she picked him up off the ground, she would have said something, and she asks if the sentence was, "Come, I will help you," but he replies that she is wrong. What she said was "let's go" in the plural, and he then asks if now she wants to go with him, but the kind woman is confused and asks what he means by that. He surprises her and reveals that, even though he knows her little, he wants to marry her. She is perplexed and asks if he is serious. After all, she's just a waitress and he owns the establishment. And he replies that there is no problem. He is a single man and she is a single woman. And he says that, in addition to her being a great employee, she is a person with a pure heart, and that's why he's in love with her. They then hold hands and leave the restaurant. Before leaving, the two go to the arrogant employee, and the owner says he has something to say to her. He asks if the woman remembers the day she and her friend saw a needy man in the square. And he says that she was very cruel that day, and that nothing justifies that ridiculous attitude. She tries to evade responsibility and says that was a misunderstanding. But he interrupts her and says that there is no confusion, because that thirsty man was actually him. Cowardly, the woman asks for help and repeats saying that it does not represent who she really is. He says what she did was pure evil. Even though he is a successful man, he says that no one has the right to judge another by appearance, and that a woman should learn from her friend, who is sweet and kind to someone she didn't even know. The woman cries out for forgiveness and says she cannot lose her job, but the restaurant owner tells her that she will be fired and hopes that this will serve as a lesson for her life. Finally, he reveals that he and her friend are getting married and the two leave hand in hand, leaving the woman wondering what she has done.